The bet. Malik stood alone on the balcony of his penthouse, overlooking the vibrant lights of the city that never seemed to sleep. This city, a bustling hub of technology and innovation, thronged with the energy of millions and the wealth that flowed as freely as the wine at the high society parties Malik often attended. Yet, despite his commanding view and the success he had achieved at such a young age, a profound sense of emptiness lingered within him, like a shadow that no light could dispel. At 32, Malik was the quintessential self-made millionaire. His tech startup had revolutionized mobile payments, making him a household name in the industry. His face graced the covers of business magazines, and his story was a beacon of entrepreneurial spirit. Yet, the thrill of success had waned, and now, each accomplishment felt less like a victory and more like a reminder of what he missed, a genuine human connection. It was on a cool Friday evening, under the crystal chandeliers of his best friend Roger's mansion, where the elite of the city had gathered for what was dubbed the social event of the season. The air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the soft murmur of the privileged. Everyone who was anyone in the circle of high society was there, draped in designer wear, their laughter as polished as the marble floors they stood on. Malik, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit that accentuated his lean frame, was more of an observer than a participant. His disinterest in the superficial chatter was palpable, yet he played his part, nodding and smiling where needed. That's when Rog, his college roommate turned investment partner, approached him with a glass of aged scotch in his hand and a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Malik, my friend, you look like you're at a tax audit rather than a party," Rog teased, handing him the scotch. Malik accepted the drink, his gaze still fixed on the crowd. "Maybe I am in the wrong place," he mused, his tone more serious than Rog expected. Rog laughed, clapping him on the back. "Or maybe, you just need a real challenge to spice up your life." "Oh." Malik turned to face him, intrigued. "And what do you propose?" "It's simple," Rog began, his eyes scanning the room until they settled on something, or rather, someone, outside their usual crowd. "See, you're the king of the tech world, a true master of the universe type, but I bet there's one thing you can do." Malik raised an eyebrow, sipping his scotch. "Try me." Roger's smile widened. "I bet you can't marry a woman who doesn't fit into this glamorous world of ours. Someone ordinary, from outside our elite circle. And not just marry her, but stay married for 6 months." Malik choked on his drink, coughing as he processed Roger's words. "Marry someone ordinary? Why on earth would I do that?" "Because you can't," Rog challenged, his voice lowering so only Malik could hear. "And because I'm willing to make it interesting. If you lose, you hand over your vintage Ferrari. But if you win, I'll give you the exclusive rights to the software you've been eyeing from my company." The room spun slightly as Malik considered the bet. It was ludicrous, offensive even. Yet, something about the challenge stirred a fire in him. Was it his pride, or was there something more, a curiosity about a life so different from his own? After a long moment, Malik extended his hand, his decision made. "You have yourself a deal, Rog. But be prepared to part with that software." Rog shook his hand, the deal sealed with a shake. "Good luck, my friend. You're going to need it." As the party continued around them, Malik's mind raced. What had he just agreed to? Was this a moment of madness, or a turning point in his life? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: Malik's life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. The meeting. In the heart of a modest neighborhood, nestled between aging apartment buildings and bustling street markets, stood a small but vibrant school known for its dedicated staff and the cheerful laughter of children that echoed through its halls. It was here that Lila taught, a beacon of warmth and commitment in a community that thrived on mutual support and resilience. Lila, a woman in her late 20s, with a gentle smile and eyes bright with the kind of passion that comes from doing what one loves, was a favorite among her students. She dedicated her days to teaching and her evenings to community projects, always believing that education was the key to a better future. On a sunny Tuesday morning, as Lila organized her classroom for the day's lessons, the school buzzed with the news that a visitor was coming. Not just any visitor, but Malik, the tech millionaire whose companies and charitable foundations had been featured in countless news articles. His visit was part of a new initiative to invest in local education, also the official statement said. For Malik, however, this visit was the first step in a high-stakes challenge that might just redefine his understanding of success and purpose. As Malik stepped into Lila's classroom, he was immediately struck by the stark contrast between her world and his. The room, though brightly decorated with student artworks and educational posters, was a far cry from the sleek, high-tech environments he was used to. And there, among the children seated eagerly at their desks, stood Lila. Her simple attire and the genuine joy radiating from her as she thought captured Malik's attention in a way that the superficial glitz of his usual circle never had. After the class, Lila approached Malik with a polite smile, extending her hand. "Mr. Malik, it's an honor to have you visit our little school. The children were thrilled to hear about your work and your support for education," she said, her voice reflecting a sincerity that took Malik aback. Malik, momentarily disarmed by her authenticity, shook her hand, feeling an unexpected connection. "Please, call me Malik. And the honor is mine. I've learned more from watching your class for half an hour than I have in some of my business meetings," he replied, his response more heartfelt than he intended. As Lila showed Malik around, explaining the challenges they faced and her dreams for the school's future, Malik found himself genuinely captivated by her vision and her dedication. It was a dedication that sparked something within him, a desire to be part of something truly impactful. Impulsively, he said, "Lila, I'm moved by your passion and what you've managed to achieve here. I have a proposal for you." Pausing, he gauged her reaction before continuing, "Beyond the initial investment my foundation will make, I'd like to partner with you on a project. Something that could directly benefit the programs you're so passionate about." Lila looked at him, a mix of surprise and cautious optimism in her eyes. "That sounds incredible, but I'd like to hear more about what you have in mind," she said, her practical nature keeping her grounded despite the excitement of such an offer. Seeing her interest, Malik arranged to meet her again to discuss the details. However, as he left the school, his mind wasn't solely on the project. He found himself more intrigued by Lila herself. Her sincerity, her dedication, and the way she lit up when talking about her students, qualities so rare in his usual encounters that they stirred something he hadn't felt in a long time. A few days later, after a meeting to discuss the educational project, Malik found the conversation drifting to more personal topics. Lila's laughter, her insight on life, and her humble yet clear vision of the world challenged him and drew him in. As they walked through the neighborhood, Malik made an impromptu decision, one that felt right, yet terrifyingly spontaneous. "Lila, I know this might sound forward, given that we've just met under professional circumstances, but would you like to go out to dinner with me sometime?" Malik asked, his usual confidence replaced with a hint of nervousness. Lila paused, her expression a mixture of surprise and thoughtfulness. "Malik, I'd like that," she said with a smile that reached her eyes, "but only if you promise the conversation won't just be about school projects." Malik laughed, relieved and excited. "It's a promise." As Malik walked away from the school that day, he felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in years. Perhaps this bet, however recklessly entered into, would lead him not just to unexpected challenges but also to unexpected joys. Little did he know, it was the beginning of a journey that would transform both their lives profoundly, the wedding. In the whirlwind weeks that followed their first dinner date, Malik and Lila found themselves in the throes of an unexpectedly deepening relationship. The city, with its eager eyes and ever-churning rumor mills, watched in fascination as the tech millionaire and the modest school teacher planned a life together. To many, especially Malik's circle of affluent friends and business associates, the match was amusing, a diversion they assumed would pass as quickly as it had appeared. They whispered about Malik's motivations and chuckled over their champagne about how trivial it all seemed, a fling that surely couldn't last. Despite the skepticism, Malik and Laila's connection grew stronger, rooted in shared conversations that lasted into the early hours of the morning, walks in parts of the city Malik had never visited, and quiet dinners where the outside world seemed to fade away. Laila brought a sense of peace and purpose to Malik's life that the glittering soirees and superficial gatherings never could. Her simplicity and authenticity enchanted him, her passion for making a difference inspiring him to reevaluate his own priorities. As their love blossomed, the idea of marriage transformed from a component of a bet into a genuine desire to bind their lives together. Malik proposed to Laila on a quiet evening at her favorite spot in the city, a little-known park overlooking the river, away from the eyes of the world. She accepted with a joy that was as profound as it was simple, reflecting the purity of their feelings for each other. The wedding planning began with an intention to keep things modest yet beautiful, mirroring the essence of their relationship. They chose a small venue, a charming garden that Laila loved, where they could celebrate their union surrounded by close family and friends. The decor was understated elegance, with strings of white lights twinkling among the trees and simple floral arrangements that complemented the natural beauty of the setting. As the day approached, Laila's family, who had initially been skeptical about this whirlwind romance with a man who seemed from another world, now showed cautious optimism. They saw how Malik looked at Laila, with a respect and admiration that was undeniable, and how he valued her dreams and ambitions as much as his own. Their support grew, comforted by the genuine care and partnership they witnessed between the two. The ceremony itself was a reflection of Malik and Laila's journey together. It was conducted by an old friend of Laila's who had known her since childhood, adding a personal touch that was deeply meaningful to the couple. The vows they exchanged were heartfelt and personal, promising not only to love and cherish each other but also to continue growing together, supporting each other's dreams and building a future that combined both their worlds. Malik's friends, many of whom had attended more out of curiosity than expectation, found themselves touched by the sincerity and depth of the ceremony. It was a celebration that transcended the initial frivolity they had associated with the union, a testament to the transformative power of love and the genuine connection between Malik and Laila. As the evening wore on, filled with laughter, dancing, and stories shared among new friends and old, it became clear that what had started as a bet for Malik had evolved into something far more significant. He realized that true happiness wasn't found in the accolades and accomplishments that had filled his life before but in the shared moments of joy and the partnership that he and Laila now cherished. The wedding, modest in scale but rich in meaning, concluded under the starlit sky, with promises of future adventures together. As Malik and Laila walked hand in hand, amid the soft glow of fairy lights and the warm wishes of their loved ones, they stepped into a new life, one that was uncertain and undefined but held the promise of unconditional love and mutual growth, a life where Malik found not just a partner in Laila but also a new direction for his own heart, the revelation. Several months into their marriage, Malik and Laila found themselves enveloped in a blissful routine that intertwined their lives more deeply than either had anticipated. Their union, which had begun under unconventional circumstances, had blossomed into a genuine partnership. Malik, once a fixture in the high society party scene, found himself increasingly at home in the quieter, more meaningful existence that life with Laila offered. However, the shadows of Malik's initial motives lingered, hidden beneath the surface of their day-to-day happiness. It was at a high society gala, thrown by one of Malik's longtime acquaintances, where these shadows would come into the light. The event was lavish, a stark contrast to the simple, intimate gatherings that had become Malik and Laila's preference. Layla attended reluctantly, knowing how important it was for Malik to maintain connections within his industry, despite her discomfort with the opulent display and the superficial conversations that often accompanied such affairs. As the evening wore on, the atmosphere thickened with the swirl of cocktails and the murmur of the elite, all adorned in their finest, an air of extravagance hanging heavily around them. Raj, buoyed by the spirit of the gala and perhaps too much wine, found himself in the company of old friends, reminiscing about past escapades. Layla, dressed elegantly yet simply, stood slightly apart from the main crowd, observing the interactions with a quiet sense of detachment. She was still adjusting to these gatherings, where the glitter often seemed more substantial than the gold. It was then that Raj, with a glass in hand and a boisterous laugh, let the story slip, the story of the bet. "You know, it all started as a wager," he chuckled, oblivious to Layla's approach. "Malik never thought he'd actually fall for someone so different from our circle. Can you imagine? Marrying someone out of a bet?" The words hung in the air, stark and shimmering like the crystal chandeliers overhead. Layla, who had stepped closer to greet Malik, stopped dead in her tracks, her heart pounding loudly in the sudden silence that enveloped her mind. The laughter and music faded into a distant, unimportant buzz as Roger's words echoed over and over. Malik, seeing Layla's pale face from across the room, felt a chill of dread. He excused himself abruptly and moved towards her, but the damage had already been done. Layla's eyes, wide with hurt and disbelief, met his as he reached her side. "Layla, I can explain," Malik began, his voice tense with desperation. "Explain what, Malik? That our marriage is a joke to you? That I was just a challenge?" Layla's voice was low but quivered with emotion, her usual composure shattered by the revelation. "It wasn't like that, not really, not how it ended up," Malik pleaded, reaching for her hand, but she pulled away sharply. "How it ended up?" Layla repeated, her voice rising slightly with incredulity and pain. "How can I trust anything you've said or anything we've built?" Malik's heart sank as he saw the devastation in her eyes, realizing the gravity of his mistake in not telling her the truth himself. He watched helplessly as she turned away from him, her figure stiff with the dignity she carried even in the deepest moments of despair. Layla left the gala alone, her departure a silent but powerful reproach that left Malik feeling hollow. The drive home had never seemed so long, and the house never so empty as when he finally returned, finding it devoid of her presence. In the solitude of their home, Malik wandered through the rooms filled with memories of their brief life together, each one a testament to the genuine feelings that had grown from his deceitful start. The realization of what he had truly lost struck him with agonizing clarity. It wasn't just a partner in Layla, he had lost his compass, his unexpected guide to a better version of himself. As the night stretched on, Malik sat alone, the echoes of the party's laughter and the piercing truth of Roger's words mingling in his mind. He understood then that if there was any path back to the life he had come to cherish, it would start with the hardest step he'd ever have to take, earning Layla's forgiveness, not just for the bet, but for betraying the trust that had become the real foundation of their relationship. The transformation. In the aftermath of the revelation and Layla's departure, Malik found himself enveloped in profound solitude, a stark contrast to the vibrant life he had shared with Layla. As the days passed, the reality of his situation sank in deeper, and he was forced to confront not only the loneliness but also the man he saw in the mirror. The image of himself as a successful entrepreneur, once a source of immense pride, now seemed superficial and hollow. He realized that without Layla, the achievements felt meaningless. Driven by a mix of remorse and revelation, Malik decided that if he were ever to have a chance at redemption or at winning back Layla's trust, he needed to make real changes, not just superficial gestures. His journey of transformation began with a deep introspection about his values and his past behaviors. He understood that proving his sincerity to Lila would require consistent, meaningful actions aligned with the values she had taught him to appreciate: community, service, and genuine connection. Volunteering at Lila's school, Malik reached out to the school where Lila taught, offering to volunteer his time and resources. Initially met with skepticism, his persistence and humility eventually won over the staff. Malik started by assisting with IT needs, but soon he was involved in tutoring students, participating in after-school programs, and even helping to coach the school's soccer team. These activities allowed him to connect with the community on a personal level, far removed from the corporate philanthropy he was accustomed to. Community engagement. Beyond the school, Malik immersed himself in the community's various projects. He sponsored local events, provided support for a community garden, and funded improvements to the neighborhood park. Each step was a move away from his previous life of detached luxury, pulling him closer to the grassroots level where every action felt impactful and directly beneficial to the lives of others. Living the shared values, Malik also took significant strides in aligning his business practices with his newfound values. He implemented fairer policies for his employees, invested in sustainable technologies, and began a program to mentor young entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. These changes not only transformed his company's culture but also redefined its role in the broader community. Throughout this period, Malik kept his distance from Lila, giving her the space she needed. He sent her occasional updates about the projects at her school and the community, careful not to overstep but eager to show her the changes he was making, both in his life and in the lives of those around them. As months turned into a year, the community Malik had once viewed from a distance became an integral part of his life. The relationships he formed, filled with genuine affection and respect, enriched him in ways he had never experienced through his previous high society interactions. These relationships were real and grounded in shared struggles and successes, very different from the transactional connections of his past. Through his journey of transformation, Malik not only changed how he lived but also how he viewed himself and the world. He realized that true wealth was not measured by his bank account or the accolades he had accumulated but by the positive impact he could have on others and the authenticity of his relationships. While Malik knew that there was no guarantee Lila would ever want to resume their relationship, he understood that this transformation was crucial, not just for her but for himself. Whether or not Lila ever came back into his life, Malik was committed to being a better man, one who lived a life of purpose and heart, aligned with the values that Lila had shown him were truly important. Reconciliation and new beginnings. After more than a year of transformation and self-reflection, Malik received a letter from Lila. In it, she expressed her acknowledgement of the changes he had made, not only in his personal life but in how those changes positively affected the community. She was moved by his dedication and, finally feeling a glimmer of hope for a renewed connection, agreed to meet him. Lila's acceptance. Their meeting took place at the very same park where Malik had proposed. It was a crisp, sunny afternoon, and the park was quiet, a peaceful setting for what was a monumental encounter. The initial moments were awkward, as both navigated the complex emotions of reunion. However, as they walked the familiar paths, talking honestly about their experiences apart, the conversation flowed more freely. Malik listened intently as Lila shared her journey of reflection and forgiveness, and in turn, he spoke honestly about his newfound understanding of what truly mattered in life. Moved by Malik's sincerity and the genuine transformation he had undergone, Lila found herself ready to begin a new chapter with him. She saw in Malik a partner who had not only returned to her world but had genuinely become part of it. Renewal of vows. Inspired by their reconciled feelings and mutual growth, Malik and Lila decided to renew their vows. This time, the ceremony was deeply personal, held in the garden of the community center Lila had helped develop. Surrounded by family and friends who had supported them through their trials and transformations, they spoke vows that were rich with significance and the wisdom of their experiences. Each word resonated with their commitment to continue growing together, grounded in honesty, respect, and shared values. Epilogue. Following the renewal of their vows, Laila, with Malik's full support, opened her dream educational center. Named the New Leaf Learning Hub, the center became a beacon of hope and growth in the community, offering innovative educational programs designed to empower underserved youth. Malik not only funded the project but was actively involved in its operations, offering workshops on technology and entrepreneurship. The educational center thrived, much like Malik and Laila's relationship, rooted in the community and enriched by their shared commitment to making a difference. As they worked together, their love was continually renewed by the lives they touched and the real impact they made. Laila's Dream Center became a symbol of their love and values, a place where new beginnings were nurtured and opportunities were created, not just for themselves but for the community that had embraced them both. As they stood together during the center's opening ceremony, watching children and parents flood through the doors with smiles and anticipation, Malik and Laila knew they had built something lasting. Not just a marriage, but a partnership that extended beyond themselves to touch the lives of others. Their story, which had begun with a bet, had transformed into a journey of genuine love, proving that true love is indeed built on trust, respect, and the willingness to grow together, both as individuals and as a couple. In their shared pursuit of a better world, they found the deepest, most enduring connection, and in each other, they found a love that truly made them better people.